My 33M Italian wife, 29F, is mad that I gave our daughter a Greek name. So for some background, my wife is very proud of her Italian heritage. Her family goes the whole 9 yards calling their grandma, Nonna, even though she has a thicker Aussie accent than my grandma. La Dolce Vita and Funicula at family gatherings. Brothers and cousins all fervently supporting Serie A teams. All that. Which is fine, but it does get a bit much sometimes because my family is kinda the same with Ireland. In place of Italy, even though both our families are far removed from both countries. Anyway, 5 months ago we welcomed our first child. A daughter who we gave a very classic name to. One derived from Hellenic mythology. A goddess that is shared by both Romans and Greeks. We didn't go too deep into the origins. I suggested it. She loved it and we went with that. A few days ago my wife was admiring our little bundle of joy when she remarked, "I'm so glad we gave her a good Italian name." I stopped and explained that this version of the name was actually Greek. And the Roman, Latin version of the name was kinda different, and she completely soured and asked how I could do this to her. I'm still not sure if she meant her or our daughter. She ended up storming off in a huff and has been distant. When we talked about it, she explained that her Italian heritage is very important to her and to deviate from that knowingly was disrespectful to her heritage. I tried explaining to her that our daughter will be a part of your family and that heritage will come through in her upbringing. Even my wife's name isn't of Italian origin and my name is of English and not Irish origin, but apparently that isn't the same. She has now taken to calling our daughter by her middle name, which I find incredibly insulting as well as ridiculous because that name is also Greek in origin, but it's popular in Italy and Spain, also former Spanish colonies. But that is a conversation I'm not even willing to start because I don't want another argument. I just don't know how to see it from her side. That the name doesn't really matter. I think it's a very beautiful name and her mother was happy with it until she knew that it was Greek and not Latin. I'm trying to see why it would be important that she has a name from a country halfway across the world, and it's not like this name is completely removed from her heritage, as it's pretty similar to the Latin name, although the Latin name doesn't roll off the tongue nearly as well. I'm just at a loss to try and understand her thinking and at a bigger loss on how to settle this. Edit. Okay, I didn't want to give out details of my 5-month-old, but if it's really important, the name we gave her is Persephone. Edit 2. I told my wife the myth of Persephone being kidnapped and her mother Demeter being so distraught over that happening that it caused the plants to wither and the weather to go cold. Literally, ain't no sunshine, thousands of years before the song. And she was moved by it. She told me she was worried that her daughter didn't have either an Italian first name or surname. She said both of our names not being from Italy or Ireland didn't matter because we have those Italian and Irish surnames to carry on the legacy. Our daughter has my surname. We decided not to combine our names because there is a stigma around double-barreled names as being basically for Karens, but I offered to put her surname beside mine in an official name change. Something we're both going to discuss later. Edit 3. To all the people saying, "I can't believe she didn't know," as the former Prime Minister of Australia Tony Abbott put it, no one is the suppository of wisdom. Things like this can slip by someone. I bet you all have things that you assumed were true but it turns out you were wrong about, and I bet for some of you it will be really obvious things too. We're not all geniuses who know everything about everything. And to the people saying, "Why didn't she research it?" Pregnancy is kind of a busy time. I suggested the name. She assumed it was Italian and didn't think to check if it actually was Italian in between us attending birthing classes. Renovation of my home office into Persephone's room. Baby showers. celebrating in general, doctor's checkups, visiting various members of both our families across the country. These things happen. I'm not certain why she would ever think Persephone is an Italian name. Not sure how she didn't know that was a Greek name, but if it means so much to her, she could have researched it herself. She's being childish. She liked the name and you didn't trick her into it. This is sorta amusing for me because my husband is Italian and I'm Greek. We fought over names before we knew if it was a boy or girl. We also had Greek and Italian names picked out for both. The boy name was what we really couldn't get straight. It's just my husband's last name is so Italian that no English names sounded good. My husband is also part Ukrainian, so we tried that too, lol. But we decided on a Greek spelling first name and a very Italian middle name. I wanted his middle name to be first, but we compromised, woman shrugging. I also call my son by his middle name as a nickname, but mind you he is still an infant, so he has no idea what his name is, lol. I do find it odd she's so against the name all of a sudden. It's a beautiful name and one I actually thought of if we had a girl. I hope over time this is just leftover hormones and she can see how beautiful the name is. Sorry, I don't have much more advice. Good luck, crossed fingers. You both sound exhausting. At the end of the day, you played yourself. All that bother. And she'll end up Percy anyways. NTA. Your wife agreed to the name. She should have done her research if it was that important to her. I can give advice without knowing the name. She loved the name and agreed to it. You did nothing wrong, op and her NTA. Your wife might be though. I would suggest talking to her and explaining that it isn't fair that she loved it and agreed to it, and is now blaming you for the name not being Italian. If she was so desperate for it to be Italian, she could have done some research. Sue. Your Italian wife is mad. BC, you suggested a name of a goddess and she assumed it was the Latin version? Like, first off, you didn't deceive her or anything. You told her about a name you liked and she also liked it. Also, if she had a bit of knowledge on those names, then she would have probs noticed that most Latin female names end in a. So that should have been a hint for her. Ask her why she feels you deceived her when you only told her a name you liked and then go from there. LMFAO, no offense to your wife, but who would think Persephone is Italian and not Greek? Tears of joy, tears of joy. But what is the name? She's so Italian she doesn't even know Persephone is a Greek name. This is on her. You have those Italian idiots in Australia too? Interesting. I thought that was an American thing only. NTA. Your wife sounds like a textbook culture vulture. Is she fluent in proper Italian? Or Spain Spanish? Has she lived in Italy? Has she ever even visited Europe as a whole? Is she sure with no recourse she's even Italian? This is so nutty. This literally reads like a teenage girl doing the most to join the popular kids, even if that means cutting off people and changing everything about herself. Again, Sue freaking nutty. Just tell your wife it's all Greek to me. She's dramatic. I'm really worried by your attitude, but that is a conversation I'm not willing to start because I don't want another argument. Dude, you have to be on the same page. You have to talk. However uncomfortable. Sounds like you avoid hard topics with her, which makes her a little too entitled, I think. Man, I dunno what to tell you except that your wife is a real dum-dum. I don't know how you move past this without calling her out for her absolutely superficial surface level of engagement with a culture that supposedly means so much to her. The fact that she thought Persephone was an Italian name is just so embarrassing for her. And the fact that she's now using her also Greek middle name? I'm not sure saying, you actually don't know anything about being Italian, is going to help your marriage. But it's true. Maybe you need to take her to Italy. You named your daughter after the goddess who was kidnapped and dragged to hell by her uncle Hades, to be forced to be his wife? The queen of the underworld? Interesting choice. Does your wife know that whole backstory? If she's an Italian who happens to be Catholic, that might not go over well. I dunno. I'm an atheist and am absolutely fascinated by Greek mythology. And the name is darling. But it's hard to say you are wrong for not giving the reason why you said this name. What is the name? If it was unique you should have given explanation for it, but your wife is nuts for calling her by her middle name. Childish and going to be confusing for the child. I'm sorry if she is so Italian, how could she not know that is not an Italian name? Maybe come up with an Italian nickname you both like? I'm Australian. My dad is Italian, actually born there, and I have a name of Greek origin. None of my family, even those in the old country, have an issue with my name. I'm Australian. Italian background. I have a very Italian name. I also love Greek mythology and have pomegranates all over my house. I'd call my daughter Persephone in a heartbeat. It's my absolute favorite name. Congratulations to you and your family. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.